Hey, I'm Alex from Quack&Co, the channel where everything is under 10 minutes, every time, all the time. Going to make it really hard to actually innovate when we decide to do different videos that are more than 10 minutes. In any case, we are burning through time here, so let's go ahead and get this started. Why I'm not keeping it is going to be one of our many short-form content things. We are constantly experimenting. This is a new channel, new types of topics, different things from first impressions to highs and lows to reviews to any different type of format as long as it's under 10 minutes. So your feedback on these different formats is definitely welcome. As far as why I'm not keeping it, it's going to be where we take a game, in this case Cthulhu Wars, and I tell you why I'm not keeping it. And Cthulhu Wars, to be very clear, is an excellent game. I see why people love this game. This is like rated an 8 point something on Board Game Geek, maybe a 7.9, I don't know. It's high. People like this game, and they like it despite the gigantic price tag. The gigantic price tag that's going to be around because of these gigantic hobs of plastic. Now, that's not why I'm not keeping it. Sadly, I wish I could say that budget was a factor, but when I like a game, I like a game, and when I like a game, I am willing to spend whatever it takes to get all the stuff to really invest in that game. Gaming for me is a hobby I love. It is the leeway I give myself, and price is not why I would not keep this game. It's why I won't get a game sometimes, but it's not why I won't keep a game once I love it. And Cthulhu Wars is a game that I like, but I don't love. You see, Cthulhu Wars is an area control game with asymmetric factions and powers and abilities. You're going to have these elder gods. The base game is going to have 4 factions. You're going to have your different faction boards with different starting units, with different starting inherent faction abilities, and different spell books as far as how you can level up your various factions as you accomplish different objectives. From there, you're going to run around the board stomping on other players. And I say stomping on other players, I mean stomping on other players. You're going to roll ridiculous gobfuls of dice as you attack other people. Starting off, you won't roll that many dice, but as you level up throughout the game, you will start rolling ridiculous gobs of dice, especially once your Elder One is on the board and doing all the things that Elder Ones tend to do in this game. The game doesn't overstay its welcome either. It comes in at roughly 2 hours of playtime. Could be a little less, could be a little more, depends on your play group, depends on how the game's going. The game, I would say, it does a fairly good job of staying in that roughly 2 hour window, and it's a very satisfying experience along the way. I'm not keeping Cthulhu Wars because I prefer other games to Cthulhu Wars, and I'm going to tell you why. Specifically, the two that most come to mind as direct competitors are going to be Blood Rage and Kemet. Now, I have other area control games that I love. I have Inish, I have Cyclades, I have Chaos in the Old World, I have other ones I'm not currently thinking of, but there's definitely other ones out there. But Cthulhu Wars for me is going to be most compared to Kemet and Blood Rage in the sense that it's a game that is very much area control as the bare bones the bare bones canvas that you are painting on, but what you're going to have from there is the powers and abilities and the things that make those games different and or stand out. You see, I love powers and abilities. That's my thing, and I love it in Cthulhu Wars. My problem with Cthulhu Wars is Cthulhu Wars gives you a very linear approach to those powers and abilities. Your faction comes with a unique faction, the unique units, which is great. And then from there, it gives you those spell books you're going to develop, but you only have 6 of them. And there's often a kind of almost scripted order in the way you want to do them. Not perfectly scripted, but there's going to be 1 or 2 that you really want to do first. There's going to be 1 or 2 that you want to do last. There's going to be 1 or 2 you want to do in the middle. It's going to give you a bit of a sense of progression of what makes the most sense as you go through this game. It is a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun playing Cthulhu Wars. I have 10 plus plays under my belt. I've played as different factions. I've enjoyed it every single time. It is an enjoyable experience when I play Cthulhu Wars. But at the end of the day, I don't feel I have that true degree of freedom and agency as I develop my faction the way I do in other games. Let's go through a few different games that are relevant in terms of what you may or may not be looking for. Blood Rage is going to give you your faction. Starts off very vanilla, very plain. You get to develop that asymmetry as the game goes. And then across 3 rounds, you can be drafting cards, and each card is going to have a different way you develop. You may only have 5 or 6 cards, the same way you have only 6 spellbooks in Cthulhu Wars. In Blood Rage, you may end the entire game with only 5 or 6 abilities cards that upgrade and develop your faction. Other cards will be quests or combat cards, and they won't really change your game so much as what you do in any individual instance. But within those 6 cards, because you're not scripted to having them from an individual faction, you will be able to develop and branch out in a variety of different ways. The monsters you'll gather, the faction upgrades you get, the unit upgrades you get, you will be able to have a ton more pathways as far as how your faction develops in Blood Rage. Kemet's going to be the same exact thing. Kemet gives you a smorgasbord of 48 power tiles, and again, you may get between 5 to 10 power tiles in an individual game, but you can choose from all of them. Not from your color, not from your faction. You can choose from all of them. Granted, if you're playing with expansions, you'll only ever be able to choose from 3 sets of power tiles at any given point, but you're always choosing from 48 power tiles in the game, and you can develop out the way you are different, the way you are special in the game every single time you play it, which is so rewarding to do so. It's going to be the same thing as Blood Rage. It's going to be, you're going to have that base area control game that's a lot of fun. All three of these games are fun. But Cthulhu Wars restricts you a bit in the way your factions develop, giving you more asymmetry. There's more reason to play as one Elder God versus the other, but when you do play as that Elder God, you don't have that degree of choice. Now, even Chaos in the Old World, which is going to be another comparison to this game, Chaos in the Old World gives you more of a direct asymmetry comparison to Cthulhu Wars. You're going to have your starting faction with your units that are different, and your faction ability or whatever is going to be slightly different. The way you gain power or whatever it is in Chaos in the Old World. But even there, you still have more choice, more agency, more freedom because of your giant handful of spell cards. You're going to have a lot of spell cards in Chaos in the Old World. You're also going to have abilities you unlock as the game develops, meaning I still feel like when I play Chaos in the Old World, when I pick a faction in Chaos in the Old World and I play it, I feel like I'm doing more things differently. I feel like I have more opportunities to continuously explore the same faction again and again and again, and not fully see the way the game will play out. Versus Cthulhu Wars, especially because the cards aren't really hidden. Once people develop and build out their factions, I find it tends to wind down that same path. People using the same abilities, people interacting in the same ways, people growing their factions the same way every single time. Overall, Cthulhu Wars is an excellent game. I can recommend this game. I can see why people love this game. And if you, unlike me, if you are looking for the finely honed aspects of area control alone, and that's enough for you, then I think Cthulhu Wars will very much deliver. I can argue that the chaos of powers and abilities that I love, that draws me towards these other games that give me more of that may make those other games worse for you and Cthulhu Wars better. Cthulhu Wars might be giving you more of a reined-in experience with powers and abilities, with chaos, with those things, but without as much of it as you might get. You will restrict yourself. You won't have broken combinations. You won't have overpowered things. You won't have to be saying, we have to stop them from getting that because combined with this and this, it's going to be completely broken. Overall, Cthulhu Wars is solid, but despite my excitement for it, despite how much I was looking forward to this one, despite the multiple plays I continued to give it, it's one that the more I played it, the less interested I became. I really enjoyed my first play, I really enjoyed my second play, but the more I dove into the continued experience of Cthulhu Wars, I found it was less and less for me. And I know I'll get comments saying this, yes, I have tried some of the expansions. Not many, but I'm not looking for just more factions. The overall gameplay, I want the base game to shine a bit more in terms of what I'm looking for when I'm looking for an excuse to keep or not to keep this game. That has basically been my review. I am Alex from Quack&Co. We don't really have sign-offs yet because we're still experimenting, so I don't know, destroy some elder gods or something like that. In any case, I can't stop myself. In any case, and as always, have a good one.